We've gathered this amazing collection of recent job interview transcripts.
Yeah, it's quite a data set. We're basically getting a behind-the-scenes look at hiring across, well, a huge range of industries.
The huge range is right. We've got everything from, marketing, software development, construction management,
All the way to digital marketing, education administration, data analysis, HR, nursing management.
creative direction, culinary management, project management, environmental research. I mean, the list keeps going. Sales leadership, UX UI, content strategy, operations, product management, even AI research.
It really is a broad sweep. And what's so fascinating is this chance to see the process from so many different angles, real interviews, real conversations.
Okay, so let's unpack what we're trying to do here, our kind of mission for this deep dive. We want to wade through all this material and pull out the common threads,
Yeah.
right? The surprises, the practical stuff that you listening can actually use.
Exactly. Maybe you're job hunting right now, maybe thinking about a change, or maybe you're just curious about how hiring works in different fields. This should give you a bit of an edge, a shortcut almost.
Yeah, a shortcut to understanding the current landscape without having to, research dozens of different industries yourself.
And because we have so many transcripts from so many different areas, we can start to see the bigger picture. It's not just one interview in isolation. We can compare, contrast, find those wider trends.
That's the exciting part for me, identifying those connections. Like you might find a candidate in, say, construction facing a similar challenge to someone in digital marketing, or maybe interviewers across the board focus on certain questions.
You anticipate those aha moments, don't you, where you see the patterns emerge.
Precisely. It's about weaving together this collective experience to give you a much richer, more nuanced view than just looking at one field. So yeah, get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover.
We really do. And while each interview is just, a snapshot, putting them all together, it almost creates this huge, sprawling dialogue about careers. You could think of the combined insight as maybe a 5-hour conversation, metaphorically speaking, drawn from all these different moments.
But a 5-hour conversation built from dozens of interviews. I like that framing.
Okay.
So over our discussion, we'll be trying to connect those dots, build that comprehensive picture.
Right. Let's get started then.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning, the kickoff.
Yeah.
Those first few minutes of the interview, we saw something pretty consistent across almost all of them, didn't we? Regardless of the job or industry.
Yeah, it was striking, this almost universal effort to set a comfortable tone right away. The standard polite greetings, obviously, good morning, thanks for coming in.
Sure, the basics.
But then almost always the interviewer would add something welcoming, a comment, a small pleasantry. It seems really deliberate, setting that positive stage.
And the small talk, too. That was very common. Asking about the commute, hope traffic wasn't too bad, or mentioning something about the office itself. Classic icebreakers, really.
Designed to put the candidate at ease a bit before diving into the more serious questions.
Which makes you think, why is that so common? It suggests interviewers know a relaxed candidate is probably going to give a better, more authentic interview, right?
Absolutely. You get a clearer picture of their skills, their personality. If they're not completely tense, it fosters a better dialogue.
And you mentioned comments about the office. We saw some specific examples of that, candidates noticing things, like Emily at Cloud Tech mentioning the open layout.
Right, which might hint she likes collaborative spaces. Or Sarah Thompson, interviewing for the education admin role at Oakwood, commented on the well-maintained schools she saw driving in. That could reflect valuing a supportive community feel.
And Emma at Tech Insights, picking up on the modern vibe, maybe signaling she's drawn to innovation.
Yeah, and these seemingly small comments can actually tell you something about what the candidate prioritizes in a workplace, can't they? An open layout suggests collaboration. Good facilities suggest stability, investment.
We also had Sophie at Eno Design noticing a colorful mural, maybe reflecting the agency's creative spirit. Isabella at the Grand Lux Hotel was impressed by the lobby, aligning with that luxury brand. And Rachel at Technova commented on the modern architecture, fitting for a tech company.
It's interesting how those first impressions, the physical space, can subtly shape perceptions of the company culture before you even get to the core questions. Companies know this, I think. The space sends a message.
Totally. And it wasn't just in, say, creative or tech fields. Emily C. at EcoFuture noted the advanced air quality gear showing commitment to their mission, maybe.
Could be.
And Jennifer O. at Industrial Tech was impressed by the lean manufacturing setup, suggesting efficiency. Sophie at TechVision liked their creative space. Jennifer at City General found the hospital well-organized efficiency in healthcare.
It really highlights that the physical environment matters across the board. It contributes to the employee experience, and those positive comments from candidates probably make the interviewer feel good too, creates a little connection.
Okay, so the scene is set, politeness, maybe some positive comments about the place. Let's move on to something fundamental. Education. How candidates talked about their academic background.
Yeah, this was key. What really stood out was how consistently candidates tried to link their studies directly to the job they were going for. It wasn't just, I have this degree, it was strategic.
Strategic highlighting, yeah. Pointing out relevant courses, specific projects, skills learned.
Exactly. Like Sarah, the marketing candidate at Tech Solutions. She didn't just say marketing degree. She specifically mentioned practical projects that mirrored real-world marketing tasks, showed application.
Right, and Emily, applying for the software dev role at Cloud Tech. Okay, she has a master's in comp sci, which is great,
Yeah.
but she likely talked about specific areas relevant to Cloud Tech's focus, like cloud native stuff, maybe specific projects.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa, with her civil engineering degree going for construction management at Buildwell, that's a very direct link, isn't it? The relevance is clear.
Very clear. Then you had Rachel, aiming for digital marketing at Innovate Tech. She emphasized her online certifications, Google Analytics, HubSpot. That shows initiative, specific skills, even without maybe a traditional marketing degree.
Proactive learning. And Sarah T, with her master's in education for the admin role at Oakwood, that's the expected foundation, right?
Yep. What about Emma, the data analyst candidate at Tech Insights?
Ah, yeah. Statistics degree, computer science minor. That's a powerful combo for data analysis. She probably highlighted specific analytical techniques, software, programming languages she knew that fit the role.
Makes sense. And Jennifer, with her business admin degree focused on HR, applying at Global Core again, a very direct academic fit.
Then you've got Sarah J., the nursing candidate at City General, with her Bachelor of Science in Nursing that's often a must-have qualification. Sophie, graphic design degree for Ein Design Core Creative Training.
And Isabella, with her Le Cordon Bleu degree for the Grand Lux Hotel that signals a really strong culinary foundation, a prestigious one.
It really drives home the point, doesn't it? You need to tailor how you talk about your education. It's not just listing degrees. It's articulating the value of that education for this specific job.
Like Rachel, the project management candidate at Technova, she had both computer science and an MBA. That blend of tech understanding and business sense is super valuable for tech projects.
Definitely. And Emily C., with her PhD in environmental science interviewing at EcoFuture, her advanced degree screams expertise for a research-focused place. Amanda, business admin degree for sales at Cloud Solutions, a solid, versatile foundation.
Emma, UX/UI at TechVision, with her graphic design degree connects to visual principles, user focus. Rachel C., journalism degree for content strategy at MediaPulse Storytelling. Audience understanding, crucial for content.
Right. Jennifer O., industrial engineering and an MBA for operations at Industrial Tech Vision. Wow, that's process optimization plus strategy. Very strong.
Sophia P., Cons Sci, and an MBA for product management at Cloud Solutions. Another great tech plus business combo for guiding products. And finally, Sarah J., AI research at Neurotech, PhD in Comp Sci again. Essential alignment for that highly specialized field.
So yeah, across all these different fields, you see candidates strategically playing up the parts of their education that really hit home for the role they want, showing they have the foundation and they're ready.
Okay, so education lays the groundwork. But then comes the experience piece, right? How candidates talked about what they've actually done, the projects they highlighted. This felt really crucial in the transcripts.
Oh, absolutely. This is where the theory meets reality, isn't it? Interviewers want concrete examples. What did you do? And really importantly, what was the impact?
Yeah, moving beyond just listing job duties to showing real application and, if possible, results. Quantifiable results seem powerful.
Definitely. Let's go back to Sarah, the marketing candidate. She didn't just say ran campaigns. She detailed developing a full campaign for a startup from scratch, mentioning digital and traditional tactics. That gives a much clearer picture.
Much clearer. And Emily, the software dev, led development of a real-time data processing system for a major e-commerce site that immediately says complex, large-scale, real-time data. High-demand skills.
Lisa, in construction, specifying she managed commercial projects worth $5 million to $20 million. That's concrete evidence of handling big budgets, complex projects.
Rachel, digital marketing hopeful, pointed to increasing event attendance for nonprofit by a specific percentage. Clear, measurable win. Shows she can drive result.
Exactly. Sarah T. in education, citing her experience as a department head, directly showcases leadership and admin skills in that context.
Emma. The data analyst described analyzing social media sentiment to predict movie box office. That's a really compelling example of applying data analysis to a business problem with real financial implications.
It is. Jennifer in HR highlighted leading the implementation of a new performance management system that shows ability to manage organizational change, improve HR processes.
Sarah J., the nurse focused on leading an initiative to improve patient handoff protocols, shows commitment to patient safety, driving change in healthcare. Sophie, the creative, described designing a full brand identity for an eco-friendly cafe, practical application of design and branding skills.
Isabella, the culinary candidate, mentioning creating a deconstructed bouillabaisse. It's not just cooking, it suggests creativity, technique mastery, awareness of food trends.
Right. Rachel, project management leading a digital transformation project, speaks directly to managing complex tech initiatives with big organizational impact.
Emily C. Environmental research detailed leading a study on green infrastructure and urban air quality. Demonstrates research chops, scientific rigor, relevant focus. Amanda, sales leadership, pointed to implementing a new sales methodology that significantly boosted performance. Clear, quantified success.
Emma, UX/UI designer redesigning a mobile banking app, shows experience with user-centered design, improving a critical digital product. Rachel C., content strategy leading a thought leadership campaign that drove impressive traffic and leads, demonstrates impactful content strategy creation.
Jennifer O., operations implementing a new inventory management system that cut costs significantly, shows operational efficiency improvements, tangible financial benefits. Sophia P., product management launching an AI-powered personal finance tool with high user engagement, shows ability to bring innovative products to market.
And Sarah J., AI research, described developing a deep learning model for product recommendations, showcases advanced AI skills and their practical business application.
So looking across all these, it's just not enough to say, I have experience. Is it the best candidates picked relevant projects and, crucially, quantified their impact whenever they could? That provides compelling evidence.
Absolutely. And you could sense the interviewers were often digging deeper within these examples, asking how they tackled problems, how they collaborated, what the actual outcomes were.
Yeah, that gets into the working style, the problem-solving approach. Super valuable insights for the interviewer.
Okay, so we've got education foundation, experience brought to life with projects. Now let's talk skills. How candidates assess themselves, and what skills seemed really valued across these different fields.
Yeah, what was interesting here was this consistent mix of hard technical skills and the softer interpersonal ones being important everywhere. Obviously, the specific tech skills varied wildly.
Sure, software dev needs different tech skills than a nurse.
Exactly. But certain types of capabilities kept popping up. Analytical skills, for instance. Sarah in marketing mentioned her analytical approach. Emma in data analysis, well, that's core to her role.
Technical proficiency, obviously key for Emily in software dev, Sarah J. in AI research, but the specifics differ hugely.
Right. And communication written, verbal seemed paramount everywhere. Rachel in digital marketing talked about strong writing for content. Leadership roles like Sarah T. in education or Jennifer in HR absolutely need clear communication.
And leadership itself was a recurring theme. Amanda in sales building and motivating her team. Sarah J. in nursing needing to stay calm, give clear direction under pressure.
We also saw more maybe nuanced skills highlighted. Sophie in creative talked about conceptual thinking. Isabella in culinary mentioned balancing innovation with consistency. Rachel in project management specifically brought up navigating complex stakeholder relationships vital for PMs.
Emily C. in environmental research pointed to designing robust studies fundamental for research integrity. Amanda in sales also stressed motivating teams. Emma in UX/UI talked about translating complex user needs into elegant designs.
Bridging that gap. Rachel C. in content strategy mentioned translating data into content strategies, a data-informed approach. Jennifer O. in operations highlighted strategic planning and execution. Sophia P. in product management spoke about synthesizing diverse needs into a clear product vision guiding the development.
And Sarah J. in AI research noted translating complex AI concepts for a broader audience, making the technical understandable.
Now, what was just as interesting, maybe more so, was how candidates talked about areas they needed to develop, that self-awareness. Employers often really like that.
Yeah, showing you know where you can improve and ideally that you're doing something about it. like Sarah in marketing, working on public speaking.
Or Emily in software devum, wanting to learn more about DevOps practices. Lisa in construction, wanting to deepen her knowledge of new construction tech.
Rachel in digital marketing, acknowledging she could boost her technical SEO skills.
Hmm.
Sarah T. in education, wanting to use data analysis more for curriculum decisions. Emma in data analysis, wanting more big data tech experience.
Jennifer in HR, aiming to improve her change management skills. Super important today. Sarah J. in nursing, recognizing financial management would be valuable. Sophie in creative, wanting to refine her typography skills.
Isabella in culinary, wanting to broaden her knowledge of global cuisines. Rachel in project management, wanting more technical knowledge to better communicate with dev teams.
Emily C. in environmental research, wanting better data visualization skills. Amanda in sales, wanting deeper technical understanding of cloud architecture.
Emma in UX/UI, pointing to quantitative UX research. Rachel C. in content strategy, wanting better visual content skills. Jennifer O. in operations, mentioning advanced predictive analytics. Sophia P. in product management, identifying ML and blockchain as areas to learn.
And Sarah J. in AI research, wanting hands-on experience with quantum hardware, reflecting how fast that field moves.
And the key thing, as you hinted, was that many weren't just saying it, they were actively doing something. Sarah joining Toastmasters, Emma taking online courses. That proactivity signals a growth mindset.
Exactly. That combination, knowing your strengths and weaknesses and actively working on the weaknesses, is gold for employers. It shows someone capable now, but also committed to learning and adapting, essential today.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about skills and experience, was it? Interviewers really seemed to care about what candidates knew about their company and why they wanted to work there specifically. Company research seemed critical.
Oh, hugely critical. Someone who's genuinely researched the company, its mission, values, recent work shows a different level of interest, doesn't it? It's not just spraying applications, it's targeted. It signals thoughtfulness.
We saw lots of examples of this. Sarah, in marketing, knew tech solutions focused on AM. Emily, in software dev, knew cloud tech was into cloud-native solutions and exploring blockchain. Lisa knew about BuildWell's project portfolio and their innovation commitment.
Rachel knew Innovate Tech's specific sauce product and their AI customer engagement platform. Sarah T. knew about Oakwood's tech integration initiatives and test scores. Emma knew Tech Insights focused on data-driven solutions and predictive analytics.
Jennifer knew about global core sustainability efforts and their top employer recognition. Sarah J. knew City General focused on patient-centered care and had specific centers of excellence. Sophie knew INA Design's diverse portfolio and reputation for innovative campaigns.
Isabella knew Grand Lux Hotel's reputation for luxury dining. Rachel knew Technova worked heavily in AML and had AI-powered analytics tools. Emily C. knew EcoFuture's holistic approach to sustainability.
Amanda knew Cloud Solutions focused on cloud security and AI threat detection. Emma knew Tech Vision's AI-powered productivity tools. Rachel C. knew MediaPulse used multiple platforms for content distribution.
Jennifer O. knew Industrial Tech was committed to sustainable and lean manufacturing. Sophia P. knew Cloud Solutions was developing AI within their collaboration tools. And Sarah J. knew Neurotech was working on cutting-edge quantum ML.
What really made it convincing was when candidates mentioned specific, recent projects or news. Shows they're actively following, not just reading the About Us page from 6 months ago.
Exactly. And then articulating why that company appeals to them, the innovation, the culture, specific projects, growth opportunities, values alignment, like sustainability, that demonstrates a much deeper connection. It shows why they think it's a good fit beyond just the job description.
Right, moving beyond the what to the why. Okay, so they've shown their past, their present skills, their interest in the company. What about the future? Career aspirations came up a lot too.
Yeah, where do they see themselves in, say, 3 to 5 years? This gives interviewers insight into their ambition, their long-term goals, and crucially, whether those goals might align with opportunities within this company.
We definitely saw some common themes here. Moving into more senior roles was a big one. Sarah in marketing, aiming for senior management. Emily's in software dev, wanting to become a technical architect.
Team leadership, too. Lisa in construction, wanting to oversee multiple large projects. Amanda in sales, aiming for a regional or even global leadership role.
Some focused on shaping strategy. Sarah T. in education, wanting a role in district-wide innovation. Jennifer in HR, wanting to contribute to global HR strategy development.
Specialization came up as well. Rachel in digital marketing, thinking about focusing on content strategy or marketing automation. Sophie in creative, considering specializing in art direction or maybe UX/UI. becoming the go-to expert.
And pretty much everyone expressed a desire to contribute meaningfully to the company's success, make a real impact, showing commitment beyond just doing the job.
What seems important here is articulating those ambitions realistically, showing drive, but also an understanding of typical career paths in their field and maybe within that specific company. Its signals are forward thinking, but grounded.
Okay, let's get into the topic everyone thinks about: money, compensation. These transcripts actually gave us a pretty interesting real-world glimpse into the salary ranges being discussed.
Yeah, though it's crucial to say up front, most candidates offered a range, not a hard number. Which is generally smart, right?
Yeah.
Shows they've done research but know the final figure depends on various factors.
Right. So what kind of ranges did we see for maybe more entry-level roles or people transitioning fields like Sarah in marketing or Emma in data analysis? It seemed to be often in the $50K to $60 annual range.
Rachel in digital marketing, transitioning, mentions slightly lower, maybe 45K to 55K. A junior design role like Sophie's target seemed around 40K to 50K.
And stepping up to mid-level roles, needing more experience. Lisa in construction management, Jennifer in HR, they were both talking $90K to $110.
Mm-hmm. Sarah T. in education, looking at a principal role, was in a similar bracket. Sarah J. in nursing management, around 95K to 115K. Isabella, head chef role, 90K to 110K. Rachel C., content strategy management, also 90K to $110K.
And then for the more senior roles, obviously higher. Emily in software dev, 120K to 140K.
Right.
Rachel in project management, senior PM, also 120K to 140K.
Emma in UX UI design cited 110K to 130K. Sophia P., senior product management, 130K to $150K range.
And right at the top end, VP level roles. Amanda in sales mentioned a base of 150K to 180K, plus bonuses. Jennifer O in operations, Sophia P in product management, similar base expectations.
And the highest we saw was Sarah J. in AI research, lead data scientist role in a very hot field. She mentioned 180K to $220 annually, plus potential equity.
Wow. Now, huge caveat here, right? These are just snapshots. Real salaries depend massively on location, company size, specific experience, benefits package, everything.
Absolutely. This just gives you a feel for the conversations that were happening in these specific instances. It's a benchmark, nothing more.
And it really underscores why, if you're job searching, you have to do your own up-to-date salary research for your specific role, location, and experience level.
Crucial. Can't stress that enough.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the questions interviewers ask. Let's flip it. What about the questions the candidates were asking? This part felt really revealing about their priorities.
Oh, definitely. The questions a candidate asks show so much their engagement, their critical thinking, what really matters to them beyond the job description.
Team structure was a big one. We saw Sarah, marketing, Rachel, digital marketing, Emma, data analysis, Jennifer, HR, Sophie, creative, Rachel C., content, Sophia P., product, all asking about team size, organization, collaboration dynamics, wanting to understand their immediate world.
Makes sense. Emily in software dev asked about the development methodology important for tech roles, how things actually get built.
Questions about the types of projects came up from Lisa, construction, Emma, data analysis, Sophie, creative, Rachel, project management, understanding the day-to-day work.
And company culture, wow, that was almost universal.
Yeah.
Emily, software, Lisa, construction, Rachel, digital, Sarah T., education, Emma, data, Jennifer, HR, Sarah J., nursing, Sophie, creative, Isabella, culinary, Rachel, project MGMT, Emily C., environmental, Amanda, sales, Emma, UX UI, Rachel C., content, Jennifer O., operations, Sophia P., product, Sarah J., AI research. So many asked about the work environment, values, employee experience. Shows how important cultural fit is now.
Hugely important. Professional development, too. Lots of questions about training, certifications, conferences. Came from Sarah, marketing, Lisa, construction, Rachel, digital, Sarah J., nursing, Sophie, creative, Rachel, project MGMT, Emma, data, Jennifer, HR, Amanda, sales, Emma, UX, UI, Jennifer O., operations, Sophia P., product. Shows a desire for growth.
Yeah, continuous learning. Some candidates were quite strategic, asking about current challenges the company or team faced. Sarah T., education, Jennifer HR, Sarah J., nursing, Rachel C., content, Sophia P., product asked this. Shows they're thinking bigger picture, maybe want to help solve problems.
Work-life balance also came up quite a bit. Emily, software, Sarah J., nursing, Isabella, culinary, Rachel, project MGMT, Amanda, sales, Emma, UX UI, Jennifer O., operations. Finding that sustainable balance is key for many.
And then some really role-specific questions. Isabella asking about ingredient sourcing and creative freedom in the kitchen. Amanda asking about sales growth targets. Sarah J. wanting to know the specific directions of the AI research.
Yeah, digging into the specifics.
So taken together, these questions really paint a picture of what candidates value today. It's not just salary and tasks. It's the team, the culture, growth opportunities, feeling aligned with the company's mission. They're trying to understand the whole experience.
Okay, so the interview's winding down.
Mm-hmm.
Talk naturally turns to what happens next. What did we see in terms of next steps in the hiring process?
Yeah.
Was there a standard path?
Well, it varied quite a bit, actually, which reflects the different needs for different roles. But a very common next step, probably the most frequent, was simply scheduling a second-round interview.
Makes sense? Deeper dive, maybe meet more people?
Exactly. For more senior roles or ones needing sign-off from the top, that next step often involved meeting senior leadership CMOs, CTOs, sometimes even the CEO. Shows the importance of executive buy-in for key hires.
What about skills testing?
Yeah, technical assessments were common for roles needing specific skills, data analysis, software dev, even creative design sometimes could be problem-solving, coding challenges, design tasks.
And for Lisa in construction management, a site visit was mentioned. Get out and see the work happening.
Right, practical exposure. Practical assignments also came up, especially for creative or output-focused roles like digital marketing or graphic design. Develop a mini campaign proposal or do this small design task.
Case studies were mentioned for project management applying strategic thinking to hypothetical scenarios.
Mm-hmm. And for the AI research role, Sarah J. needed to present a detailed research proposal. Really tests her research vision.
For Amanda in sales leadership, it was presenting a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Show your strategy for hitting the ground running.
And the unique one for Isabella, the head chef next steps included creating a sample menu, maybe even a cooking trial. Direct skill assessment.
So it really shows companies tailor the process, don't they?
Yeah.
Using different methods to evaluate the specific skills needed for that exact role, trying to ensure the best fit.
Precisely. And just to wrap up the interview itself, almost without exception, the closing remarks were very professional, very polite on both sides, expressions of enthusiasm, thanking each other for the time, ending on a positive note.
Okay, so we've covered a massive amount of ground here, journeying through these diverse interview transcripts. As we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you think our listeners should really take away from all this?
Well, first off, the absolute undeniable importance of preparation. It just shone through. Candidates who knew the company, understood the role, and had specific quantified examples, they just sounded stronger.
Preparation is king. Got it.
Okay.
What else?
Second, that blend of skills. You need the hard skills for the job, yes, but also those crucial soft skills: communication, problem solving, leadership potential. And that self-awareness piece we talked about, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, and showing you're working on them. That growth mindset is really valued.
Right. The well-rounded candidate.
Third, don't underestimate the power of your questions. Asking thoughtful, insightful questions shows engagement, critical thinking, and what truly matters to you. It's as important as your answers sometimes.
Good point. It's a two-way street.
And finally, just understanding the potential next steps in the hiring process for different kinds of roles can be super helpful. It helps you anticipate what might come after that first interview and prepare for it.
So overall, this deep dive, looking across so many different fields, it offers this unique chance, doesn't it? For you, the listener, to kind of learn vicariously, see what works, what employers are looking for right now.
Exactly. It gives you practical insights into today's job market and how successful candidates are navigating it. Hopefully, it provides some real value.
That's a really interesting point. It suggests that, beyond just the technical stuff, the qualifications, there's a fundamental human element. And they're assessing that right from the get-go. And it wasn't just that initial sort of informal chat either. The prevalence of those standard opening questions really stood out too. It felt like almost every single interview, regardless of the field, started with some version of, so tell me about your background, or walk me through your career journey.
It's almost like a ritualistic first step to understand the candidate's story. Precisely. Yeah, these questions, they provide that foundational context. They let the interviewer get a sense of the candidate's trajectory, the choices they've made, the experiences that have shaped them, their skills, their outlook. And then following that, another thing you saw consistently was candidates really making an effort to highlight practical experience and skills that were directly relevant. They weren't just reading off their resumes. They were actively making connections between what they'd accomplished in the past and the specific needs of the role they were going for.
Right. It's all about showing tangible value. And
Hmm.
the candidate essentially saying, look, here's concrete proof of what I've done,
Yeah.
and here's exactly how those things address the challenges or opportunities in this specific role.
Mhm.
It's much less about theory, more about applied know-how.
Okay, so let's start to dig into some of the specific nuances then, things we noticed in different industries, marketing and digital marketing, for instance. They seem to have a very distinct set of priorities. Well, yeah, if you think about what those fields are about driving engagement, getting measurable results, it makes total sense. In both Sarah's interview for the marketing manager role at Tech Solutions and Rachel's chat about moving into digital marketing and Innovate Tech, there was this huge focus on concrete campaign examples.
Yeah.
And crucially, the data, the outcomes backed by data. It wasn't really enough to just say, oh, I ran a campaign. They had to show its impact.
Absolutely. Sarah's detailed breakdown of her startup campaign, or Rachel outlining her nonprofit work, specifically mentioning that, what was it, a 50% jump in event attendance,
Yeah.
those numbers, those quantifiable results, they really brought their abilities to life. It's the difference, like you said, between saying you're a good driver and actually showing the trophies.
Exactly. And the conversations, they went beyond just the results, too. There was
Yeah.
a really noticeable emphasis on being familiar with specific tools and platforms. You heard terms like Google Analytics, HubSpot, different social media ad platforms coming up frequently. It's almost like knowing these tools is just, well, table stakes for these roles.
Yeah, it's like a carpenter needing to know how to use a hammer and a saw, right?
Yeah.
You can talk all day about building a house, but if you don't have the practical skills, the tool knowledge, it's just talk.
Yeah.
And what I also found interesting in those marketing interviews was how they consistently highlighted this need for a dual skill set. You need the creative thinking, but also strong analytical skills. It's not just about catchy slogans. It's about understanding the data behind whether they work or not.
Precisely. Generating that innovative, engaging content is vital, sure. But being able to analyze its performance, track the key metrics, adjust your strategy based on what the data tells you, that's equally critical, maybe even more so in today's marketing world. Okay, now let's maybe shift gears over to the tech sector, specifically software development and UX UI design. What were the kind of defining characteristics you picked up on in those conversations? Like Emily's interview for the lead developer job at Cloud Tech, or Emma's for the UX UI designer role at Tech Vision?
Well, yeah, unsurprisingly, technical proficiency was absolutely front and center. The dialogues are just full of mentions of specific programming languages, design software. For the software dev side, you heard Java, Python, JavaScript. For UX UI, it was Adobe Creative Suite, Figma. Those are the key terms. It's like the industry's own language.
Right, but what's really insightful, I think, is that the interviewers didn't just ask them to, like, list what they knew. They dug deeper. They wanted to understand how those skills were actually applied in the context of challenging projects. Emily talking about tackling that scalability issue for the e-commerce site, or Emma's really comprehensive redesign of the banking app. Those provided these concrete stories that showed their problem-solving approach, their technical skills in action.
Yeah, that emphasis on problem solving, that was really significant. It wasn't just about knowing the syntax of a language or the features in a tool. It was about how they used those skills to get over technical hurdles and actually deliver effective solutions. And then in UX UI design, the recurring theme was definitely the critical importance of understanding user needs, and then being able to translate those insights into practical, user-friendly technical solutions. It's the crucial bridge, isn't it, between user empathy and technical execution.
Exactly. It's way beyond just how something looks, the aesthetics. In UX UI, the real focus is on creating this seamless, intuitive experience for the user. And that has to be grounded in a really deep understanding of user behavior, what motivates them, what their pain points are. Okay, let's move into a completely different area now. Construction and project management. We had examples like Lisa's interview at Buildwell Construction and Rachel's over at Technova. What were the kind of defining traits that came out of those chats?
Project management methodologies. That was definitely a central topic. Interviewers really wanted to understand the candidate's familiarity with different frameworks, agile, waterfall, hybrid approaches. But more importantly, how they'd actually applied those methodologies in their past roles. It's about knowing the roadmap, sure, but also how to actually navigate it effectively.
And in industries like construction, where projects, let's be honest, rarely go exactly according to plan, that ability to handle unexpected challenges and effectively manage all the different stakeholders, that was paramount. Lisa's example, dealing with those unforeseen soil conditions, or Rachel's experience managing really significant scope changes, those stories really highlighted their ability to adapt, to solve problems under pressure, and communicate clearly with everyone involved.
Absolutely. It's about being that steady hand when things get, well, rough. The sheer scale and just the inherent complexity of projects in construction and PM, it also really underlined how vital meticulous planning is. Crystal clear communication strategies and just maintaining exceptional organizational skills across so many interconnected parts. It's like um, conducting a really complex orchestra with loads of different instruments playing at once.
Yeah, those organizational and communication skills, they really are the bedrock of successful project management, especially when you're juggling multiple stakeholders, tight deadlines, and often pretty unpredictable circumstances. Okay, now let's think about the insights we got from the interviews in education, Sarah Thompson at Oakwood School District and Human Resources with Jennifer at Global Core. What were the key themes that sort of surfaced in those discussions?
Leadership styles, definitely. And the demonstrated ability to handle conflicts effectively, that seemed particularly crucial.
Hmm.
Sarah Thompson really emphasized fostering collaborative leadership, and Jennifer's strategic way of resolving complex employee conflicts. Those examples showcase really essential interpersonal and management skills. It's about guiding people, nurturing them effectively.
And the conversations, they went beyond just fixing problems. There was also a focus on proactive initiatives. Jennifer's experience leading the rollout of that new performance management system, that showed her ability to drive real organizational change. Similarly, in the education setting, Sarah's understanding and her thoughtful approach to bringing in restorative justice practices, that indicated a very strategic, forward-thinking mindset.
Right. It's not just about keeping things ticking over, maintaining the status quo. It's about actively looking for ways to improve, for positive development within the organization or the school system, and also a deep understanding of the relevant regulations and the ability to foster a positive, supportive environment, whether that's work or learning. Those were clearly vital in both education and HR. Compliance and culture, key factors.
Absolutely. These are fields that are pretty heavily regulated and they rely massively on strong interpersonal dynamics, on trust. So creating an environment that's both, legally sound and helps build positive relationships, that's just fundamental to success. Okay, let's dive into the more data and research-heavy areas now. Data analysis with Emma at Tech Insights, environmental research with Dr. Chen at EcoFuture Institute, and AML research with Dr. Johnson at Neurotech. What were the defining elements in these highly specialized interviews?
Well, no big surprise here. Advanced analytical skills were right up front across all three. It wasn't just about being able to collect the raw data. More importantly, it was the ability to rigorously analyze it, to visualize it effectively, like Emma mentioning using Tableau, and then extract meaningful insights, draw informed conclusions. Dr. Chen's detailed explanation of the methods in her air quality study, Dr. Johnson's complex work on deep learning models, those really showed the depth of analytical thinking needed.
And what's particularly interesting, I think, is the level of sophistication in the tools and methods they were talking about. From Emma using Python libraries like Pandas and scikit-learn for that complex sentiment analysis, to Dr. Johnson leveraging TensorFlow on these powerful GPU clusters for cutting-edge deep learning research. These chats really highlighted the incredibly advanced technical skills that are just essential now in these fields. It's such a rapidly evolving area. You need constant upskilling.
And in those research-focused roles, the discussions also broadened out to cover research methodologies, that critical skill of grant writing. Dr. Chen specifically mentioned that, and the ever-present and increasingly important ethical considerations, particularly in AI and machine learning. That came up quite a bit.
Yeah, the ethical dimension in AI is becoming absolutely crucial, isn't it? As these powerful technologies get more deeply woven into, everything. Dr. Johnson's interview touched on that critical need for rigorous fairness testing of AI models, the importance of transparent reporting what the models can and can't do, vital stuff for responsible innovation. And really, across all these data and research fields, the sheer speed of technological change and the absolute necessity for continuous learning, for adaptation, that was just overwhelmingly clear. You simply cannot afford to stand still in these sectors.
It really is a constant state of evolution, lifelong learning, basically. Okay, let's shift gears again. Let's explore the very different world of hospitality and food service. We saw that represented by Isabella's interview at the prestigious Grand Lux Hotel. What were the key ingredients, so to speak, in that particular conversation?
Key ingredients. Nice. Well, culinary philosophy really emerged as a unique and defining element there. Isabella's passionate way of talking about her commitment to local, seasonal ingredients, her detailed description of her signature dish that deconstructed bouillabaisse, it offered this fascinating glimpse into her creative vision, her culinary approach, and menu planning specifically for that high-end luxury hotel setting. That was also a big discussion point. It highlighted the need to cater to really discerning tastes, diverse dietary needs. It's about crafting an experience, right? Something that goes beyond just, well, food.
Oh, absolutely. It's about creating something memorable, an elevated experience for the guests, not just preparing meals. And within that, demanding environment of a high-pressure kitchen, the ability to efficiently manage busy service times, implement effective cost controls, ensure consistent high-quality staff training, those were clearly paramount. Operational excellence is just key in that kind of dynamic setting.
Maintaining those consistently high standards and the ability to cater effectively to a really wide range of diverse needs that's fundamental to success in hospitality. Isabella's example of handling that last-minute request from a VIP guest, the one with severe allergies, that showcased her problem-solving skills, her commitment to exceptional service, even when things get challenging or unexpected. Okay, now let's move on to the more commercially focused areas, sales and operations. We had Amanda's interview at Cloud Solutions and Jennifer's at Industrial Tech. What were the key highlights in those discussions?
Well, for Amanda in sales leadership, it was really centered on achieving and exceeding sales targets and the proven ability to implement new methodologies, new strategies to drive revenue growth. Using data effectively through CRM systems, sophisticated sales analytics, that was also a big point of emphasis. Then on the operations side, Jennifer's experience successfully putting in that new inventory management system, her deep understanding of complex supply chain management, those were critical parts of our conversation. It's all about driving efficiency and results.
Yeah, what really stands out there is that essential blend of strategic planning and effective, on-the-ground execution. It's not enough just to have a brilliant strategy. You have to be able to translate that vision into actual results through effective implementation, meticulous attention to detail, and also the ability to motivate and lead sales teams and the constant optimization of processes and operations. Those are absolutely essential for hitting those organizational goals in these areas.
Precisely. It's about both setting that clear direction and making sure everyone's not just on board, but working together efficiently, effectively to reach those strategic goals.
Okay, now a theme that kind of surfaced across virtually all of these really diverse interviews, regardless of the industry or the role, was compensation and company culture. Let's dig into that aspect a bit.
Yeah, what's particularly striking is how almost universally salary expectations were handled. It's clearly just an ingrained standard part of the hiring conversation across all levels, all sectors. Now, obviously, the specific salary ranges they talked about varied significantly depending on seniority, industry, that candidate's experience. But the act of asking about compensation, that was a consistent element in every single interview we looked at. It's just a fundamental piece of the employment negotiation. And going beyond just the numbers, the money aspect, the different facets of company culture that the interviewers highlighted, that gave a really valuable glimpse into what different organizations genuinely prioritize. You heard concepts like fostering innovation, promoting collaboration between teams, supporting work-life balance for employees, maintaining a strong customer-centric focus, encouraging continuous learning and professional development. These were all presented as key parts of their specific company cultures.
And it was also quite noticeable how many of the candidates had really proactively done their homework. They'd researched the company's stated values, their recent initiatives. That kind of proactive research, it shows a real level of engagement from the candidates, a genuine desire to see if their own values, personal and professional, align with the potential employer. It signals they're looking for more than just, a job. They're seeking a real fit within the organization's ethos.
Exactly. It's about finding that professional home where you can not only contribute effectively, but actually thrive, feel like you belong, rather than just, existing. Okay, so drawing on this incredibly diverse range of professional conversations, what are some key overarching takeaways we can offer to the learner, to someone listening to this deep dive who's looking for practical, actionable insights?
Well, firstly, the absolute paramount importance of being thoroughly prepared. Prepared to discuss specific projects you've worked on, and crucially, the tangible, measurable outcomes you achieve. That cannot be overstated. Interviewers consistently wanted concrete examples, not just what candidates did, but the positive impact of their work. Quantifying your accomplishments whenever you can, that adds significant weight to your story.
Absolutely. The underlying principle seems to be show, don't just tell. Give them compelling evidence of what you can do through specific examples, quantifiable results, and closely linked to that is the demonstrated need for strong problem-solving skills.
And a high degree of adaptability. The professional world is just inherently dynamic, right? It often throws unexpected challenges at you. So being able to think critically, adapt to changing situations, find effective solutions that's highly valued everywhere.
Indeed, all those examples we saw candidates navigating technical issues, managing tricky stakeholders, overcoming unexpected setbacks, they all underline that essential point. Furthermore, as we dug into each specific field, the significant value of understanding and being able to speak the industry-specific language and understanding its core priorities, that became strikingly clear. Being familiar with the key terminology, having a grasp of what drives success in that particular sector, it gives you a distinct competitive edge. Yeah, it's like speaking the local dialect when you travel somewhere new, isn't it? It shows you've done your homework, you get the nuances of the profession, you can communicate effectively with your peers. Another crucial takeaway is the fundamental significance of aligning your own personal long-term career goals with the company's overall vision and strategic direction. Interviewers frequently asked about candidates' aspirations. They want to gauge if your professional path is kind of in sync with where the company sees itself going, its potential for growth.
Right. That alignment, it strongly suggests a greater potential for long-term commitment, a higher likelihood that the candidate will be really invested in the organization's success. And finally, the consistent, pervasive focus on continuous learning, on ongoing professional development. Across all these diverse interviews, that was truly remarkable. Regardless of the specific industry, the level of the role, there was this clear expectation that professionals will stay current in their fields. They'll actively seek out opportunities to keep expanding their knowledge, refining their skills.
It's a really resounding message, isn't it? In today's rapidly evolving professional world, the learning just never stops. Okay, so as we draw the threads together on this incredibly extensive, wide-ranging exploration of professional conversations, what are some final sort of overarching reflections you'd like to share?
Well, this comprehensive deep dive into such a diverse set of job interviews, it truly underscores just how heterogeneous career expectations and organizational cultures really are. Across the modern professional world, each distinct industry, it has its own unique set of core priorities, its own inherent challenges, its own specialized vocabulary. For you, the listener, getting an understanding of these often subtle nuances can be exceptionally valuable. Whether you're actively navigating your own career or maybe just seeking a broader, more informed perspective on the multifaceted world of work.
It's almost like having access to a comparative guide to a multitude of different professional domains. Even if you're not actively working in all these fields, just having a basic understanding of their underlying principles, their general operational strategies, that can be surprisingly insightful, broadly applicable even. So here's maybe a final thought for you to consider. Reflecting on those common threads, we saw that consistent emphasis on making a good first impression, having fundamental transferable skills, showing a commitment to lifelong learning, alongside the very distinct industry-specific aspects we explored. What does all this suggest about the core skills, attitudes, aptitudes that are truly valued in the modern professional landscape, regardless of the particular sector? And what further questions, maybe even more specific ones, might this broad exploration spark for your own ongoing learning journey, your own career considerations? And that brings us to the conclusion of this particularly extensive deep dive. Join us next time as we